the prickly pear cactus. Look at these beauties. Now, the cochineal will eat this prickly pear here. And in fact, a lot of you have eaten them too. These green things are called cactus pads. And the reddish things, that is the prickly pear. I want you to look at this. Look how massive this will get. And now I'm checking out the different pads. Look. I apologize for my shadow. Let me see if I can get my camera close enough here. Now, do you see this whitish thing? That is from the cochineal bugs. Oh my goodness, look down in there. I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to point. Hopefully there's not a rattlesnake. I'm looking very carefully. See the white things in the back? That's from the cochineal bugs. Oh goodness gracious, look here. Look at that. I don't know if you can see it, but you can see the red right there. There's some of the red. That's the bugs. Those are the bugs that I showed you the other day. Oh, my little stick didn't work too well. Here we go. Let's try this again. Not a very strong stick. You'd think I would have brought something with me. Oh my goodness, look. Do you see how that squeezed out color? Do you see the color? That's a cochineal bug. Do you see the color? Oh, look at that. You see it? Amazing. That's not blood. That is from the cochineal beetle. Cochineal bug. Oh my goodness. Can you see the black thing in there? That's it. I squish it between my fingers because, you know, it's strange that way. There you go. So here we are, taking a walk just like I did with my grandfather on the land. And if you look carefully, you can see all the different little white fluffs next to the spines. And in each one of them, you'll find the cochineal bugs. Pretty amazing. So we have the prickly pear right here. We have the cactus pad, the spines. And those of you who eat nopalitos, this is it. Take care, y'all. Bye. I hope you enjoyed walking the land with me, just like I did when I was young with my grandfather. Well, now let's get down to the nitty-gritty. We've learned all about cochineal bugs. We've learned about the 3 parts of marking the text. Now let's pull it all together. You should have already marked the key terms, numbered the paragraphs, and you should have underlined the author's assertions. Well, I'm going to now do it with you. And you check to see what you did and compare it to what I'm doing. Now remember, everybody has different ideas on key terms. Everyone has different ideas on information, key author's assertions and author's claims. But in general, we should all be pretty much alike. But if yours is different, as long as you can justify your answer, all's good. All right, let's look at the paper. This is the same article that we used the other day. Remember, we marked it B, and we numbered our paragraphs 1, 2, 3, and we went all the way down to 12. All right, so let's go back and start looking at key terms. The other day we read it together, so I've already completed that task. Now we need to look at each paragraph and circle the key terms. Remember, just like there are different keys to different houses, there are different key words to different articles. So the author selected the the author selected the words specific to what they wanted to write in this article. So let's see what words they are. when we find them, we circle them. We did the first paragraph together, and we did Starbucks, under fire. Remember when we put circled under fire because we thought that was a kind of a strange combination of words? Vegans, frappuccinos, and the reason we circled frappuccinos is because it was in the title, the cochineal, insects, and food industry. Now let's go to the next paragraph. It's this time in this paragraph, they're combining the words cochineal dye. And I'm going to want to circle that just because I think that that's going to be important. After reading it the first time, I kind of know that that's important. Has been around for centuries, although that probably doesn't decrease the gross out factor a lot. Now what's interesting about that is the author's given his opinion, actually in this case, her opinion. And I'm going to say that that's kind of a claim. That would be an author's assertion, author's claim. I'm going to underline that. Simply meaning she is saying doesn't decrease the gross out factor. Well, personally, I don't find that gross. I think it's kind of cool that we're squishing bugs for coloring for different maybe clothing as well as food. So I don't consider it gross, but the author is saying, hey, it's still kind of gross out there. So therefore I'm going to underline that. So how do they turn these insects into food coloring you see every day? It's quite a process. Well, when they say it's quite a process, it makes it sound like that it's actually difficult. So I'm thinking that the author is kind of saying, hey, process is coming up. We're going to tell you about it. This is important. And that's why I underlined it. Moving on to the third paragraph. Notice how I said third paragraph. By having these numbered, it enables me to specifically say, hey, this is where I'm going, so that you can follow along. If we didn't have these numbered, every time we read this article, we'd have to go a 1, a 2, a 3, and this way, bam, we go to 3. We are there, all organized. So the cochineal insect is native to Mexico, South America, and Texas. I truly believe that having these states and countries, that is going to be helpful. I would say that that's key to where the bug is living, or it currently lives. And because it says the word native, I think that word's going to be important. These insects are tiny and live on cactus plants, usually the prickly pear cactus. I'm not so sure that that is what the author is really claiming. It's a fact, but I think the word prickly pear cactus, since it's talking about where the insects live, would be very important. Then the author goes ahead and says female insects eat the red cactus berries. The author didn't say the males or the kids or the little babies and the little hatchers. They didn't say anything about that. They only specifically brought up female insects eat the red cactus berries. I think the author wanted that information to be very specific to this article. There's a purpose for this article, for this sentence. So therefore, I'm underlining that. And I see in that sentence, it says female insects eat the red cactus berries, which concentrates. Now that's a pretty serious word. Concentrates the color in their body. See the red residue left by the squished bug. Red residue. Author's really trying to paint a picture. So the author used red residue to make you visualize the redness, the colors of what would happen if you squish the bug. Kind of look at my fingernail. Kind of did that on purpose. So when you think of the red residue, you can kind of see the dark nails kind of. And no, this is really fingernail polish. This is not cochineal dye. All right, so then it goes to, so how do you harvest them? Now what's interesting is the author chose not to use what them is. So if we didn't read this, we would not know what a them is. Well, we both know that a them is the cochineal bugs. There are two methods, traditional and controlled. I think those are very, very important. I bet that they give us an example of traditional And I bet they give us an example of controlled. So having those circled, that is going to bring it to the front part of my brain. Every time they mention something about traditional, bam, I know that I should underline that. Bam, controlled, I know I should underline that. That's going to be important. The author is saying there are two methods, dudes and girls, dudettes. There are two methods, so this is important, muy importante, that you need to underline it. So let's go on. In both, the insects must be protected from predators and elements. Each cycle lasts about 3 months. The author is just flat out giving you facts. Boom, boom. Didn't really expand that information, just kind of threw that out there and said, hey, this is it, bam, 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 boom, 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 there it is. I'm going to underline or circle predator, elements, cycle 3 months. Notice I'm not circling everything. I'm just circling just the words that I feel are key to this article. Remember the key, every key, different keys go to different houses, just like different keywords go to different articles. I know I keep saying that over and over again, but you need to know that every article has a different selection of keywords that the author chose to put in there, and those were done on purpose. So let's continue. The controlled way, bam! Did you see that? Controlled, bing, bada, boom, baby! That's going to be important. The controlled way uses these little baskets. The controlled way uses these little baskets called Zapotec nets. Well, even if you cannot pronounce it, you certainly can circle it, because we know that that word is not a typical word. That word probably is going to be used somewhere later on. And it contains female insects. They leave the nest, do their work on the cactus, and breed before the cycle is over. All right. In the traditional way, hey, look at this. Traditional, controlled. Let me pull this up. Traditional, controlled. So by circling that, I kind of knew what was coming up. And look, in the next paragraph 5, paragraph 6, boom, boom. I knew that information was going to be there. And it's just very well laid out. The author did a good job in organizing the text for the reader. Some ways I just want to draw an arrow, but I won't go crazy on you right now. Oh, I gotta do it. Traditional. I just want to show you how beautiful that is. Controlled, bam. So I know as a reader where all this information is. So in the traditional way, the farmers plant infected cactus plants and harvest the insects by hand. I think it's kind of interesting that the author uses the word infected almost like it's a disease. I really think that the author did that on purpose. Using a word infected when you're talking about plants and yet saying how good they are, but yet you're using the word infected like it's a bad thing. I think the author did that on purpose, and I think he's claiming or she's claiming something. And I'm not quite sure what she's getting to, but I have a couple of ideas. Okay, so once all the insects are collected, farmers pour them out onto a wooden plank. All right, so I'm going to go on to the next page. It's kind of got a few crinkles in it. Sorry about that. So for 5 to 6 minutes, the farmers shake the insect in a process that eventually kills the insects while retaining their dark colors. Kind of cracks me up about that, and I really shouldn't laugh, but it says eventually kills. So they're saying, it's almost like the author's saying, I'm going to underline this, it's going to eventually kill them, meaning they're going to be screaming, hear me, hear me, hear me, shake, 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 until they finally die. And that by killing them so quickly, they retain their dark fluids or the colors inside of them. So the author's really making just a point of bringing that information out. Let's see if there's any words in there. We'll shake the insects in a process. So this is a process. Something that has steps to get to a final outcome. I guess the final outcome is to have insects with dark color. There are other ways to kill the bugs, like using a vat of hot water or an oven. So this author's really laying it on the line. They gonna shake 'em, they gonna bake 'em, or they gonna boil 'em. A, B, C, or D. Or is that just an A, B, C? I don't know. They're gonna kill 'em. I'm going to underline that. And you know what's amazing is that I underlined the entire paragraph. That's very odd. But notice how short that paragraph is. So don't let that frighten you. If everything in that paragraph is important, we underline it. If it's the author's making some claims, we underline it. If you can justify why you decided to underline it, rock and roll. Don't worry. Your teacher's not going to be upset, especially when you say, Ms. Williams, let me justify why this answer is blah, 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 blah. Actually, don't say blah, blah, blah. You actually give your own answer. Going on. Once they're dead, they're left outside in the sun for 2 to 3 days to dry. I'm going to circle 2 to 3 days because I think that information may be important to understand later. Maybe there's a sequence piece of information, like a timeline. It's not recommended to leave them out overnight, as the humidity will delay the drying process. Well, I'm underlining this because the author's kind of making a claim here saying, hey, we don't recommend this because these bugs are going to end up gathering or pulling in the humidity, meaning they're going to get a little wet, and you need dried bugs to keep the dye intact. I underline that because I think it's a claim. The author's saying, hey, don't do this. They're not saying, hey, don't do this. They're not writing it out, but they're saying, by the way they're saying this, using this information in the paragraph, they're saying this is important. Okay, so then they shake them in a strainer to remove the excess residue. It always cracks me up that they say excess residue. What are they really talking about? The only thing I think is they have dried bugs and you put them in a strainer and you shake them really hard and you're getting the little eggs off of them. I don't know. Maybe you have a better idea. You have to tell me if you see me in the halls. Whatever the process you use, it takes a whopping 70,000 cochineal bugs to make 1 pound of dye. I'm going to circle that because I think having that fact, that piece of data, the number of pounds to the number of cochineal bugs, I think that's going to be very beneficial to my understanding after I finish the piece. Peru alone produces 200 tons of the dye each year. That's a lot. That is a lot. I'm going to underline that because the author is, earlier it talked about where the bugs were, the native living areas of the bugs, and all of a sudden they're bringing in Peru, a specific area. I think the author might be saying that's important. They didn't say that name earlier, so I may be right, I may be wrong, but remember, it's what I believe is correct. And as long as I can justify why I underlined it, boom, I'm good. So here, museum educator Bob Alderlink shows how easily the dried bugs can be turned into red dye. So first he crushes them. So I'm going to put first he crushes them. Might underline that too. He puts the powder on a dish and dabs some water on it, a quick stir, and voila, red dye appears. Well, they didn't say first, they said first and then they didn't say second, but I know that this would be the second thing that happened. Puts the powder on a dish. Third thing that happened is dabs some water on it, a quick stir, so fourth thing. So 4 quick steps and bing bada boom, you've got red dye. I'm going to underline it too because the author made a point of giving you the steps. They didn't say 1, 2, 3, 4, but they did say 1, and I knew that since it was listed right behind it, that was probably important. Whether I'm right or wrong, as long as I can justify my answer, I'm good as gold. Right as rain. Cochineal bugs, or cochineal dye, comes in 2 basic forms: cochineal extract and pulverized bugs. Love the word pulverized. If you don't know what it means, look it up. Cool word. Carmine, which is a further process to relate a more purified coloring. Notice this comma right here. Usually if a word is followed by a comma, then this piece of information is giving you more information about that word. I underlined it because the author did this specifically. I mean, you have to think to put a comma in. You're saying, hey, this is important, comma. Bam, 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 period. You're saying that's important, so that's why I underlined it. Final paragraph. If you're freaked out by it, be sure to check the ingredient labels of everything that is dyed red. Words to look out for, and look, they even tell you, these words here, they're important because these words right here, they said look out for, so we know these words are important. Explains alder rink. Check it out, we just found a mistake. They put rink here, but they put link up here. So I think it's the same person. I guess they just misspelled it. In a video for the North Carolina Museum of Natural Sciences. So there you go. Marking the text. Simple as 1, 2, 3. Takes a little time, but the reading is so much richer. And you gather so much information. I actually have fun trying to figure out, why did the author decide to use that word? Why did they decide to string that sentence next to another sentence? Authors do things on purpose. You as the reader, you need to figure it out. It's Mrs. Edge. Have a great day. And remember, Wildcat Pride.